My amplified unit. Top of the morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you guys are in the world. On this Saturday, SummerSlam Saturday. It's going to take some getting used to, man. If this is how they're going to roll out for the foreseeable future. SummerSlam on a Saturday. SummerSlam in July. SummerSlam in July, man. I've always been an end of August birthday boy, so every year for my birthday, man, SummerSlam was always such a huge deal. Not just because it was the second biggest event in the company's calendar year, but because it's BC's birthday, man. You know, so I could always count that the parents would be getting SummerSlam on pay-per-view as one of my birthday presents, man. It was always just a fun time. That's when wrestling was just... I always say this. I've said it a million times. I'll say it a million times more. That's when WWE only had 4 pay-per-views, even before King of the Ring. Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. So you had 3 months in between each pay-per-view to build interesting, captivating, just epic storylines. So when you got to the pay-per-view, nearly all of the matches you kind of needed to see the outcome. Where were they going to go with it? You know, your interest was piqued. Nowadays, you have a pay-per-view every month. Sometimes there's 2 a month. Like this very month, there's been 2, right? The start of July, we had Money in the Bank. I think that was July 2nd, also on a Saturday, which also went up against UFC, which I believe they're doing again tonight for SummerSlam. Go figure. But we had Money in the Bank at the top of the month, and then at the end of the month, we have SummerSlam. So they're treating SummerSlam like it's just another B-rated pay-per-view. We'll have 3 weeks of build. They'll be good. So it's just everything's so weird this year, more than usual with SummerSlam. But we're hoping that the boys and gals, they go out there tonight and they absolutely crush it. Now, for this SmackDown review, guys, I say this all the time, but I do mean it. I'm going to try to get you in and out in about a half an hour today. I'm going to try to get through this whole review because I know it's the weekend. I know SummerSlam's tonight. It's going to be a long event. I want you guys to crush out whatever you need to, man. All the things not pro wrestling related. And BC himself, man, when I'm done with this, I got a lot that I got to attend to before SummerSlam tonight. So I'm going to try to get through this quick. And then tonight, what I hope to do is be live for the entire SummerSlam event. A live review. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Watch along, live reaction, live review, whatever you want to call it, man. BC's going to call it. I'm going to tap into my inner Gorilla Monsoon. My inner Mauro Ranallo. My inner old school Jim Ross. And BC's going to call every match. Now, if you can't stick around for the entire event, or you want to listen to Michael Cole blab every fucking move out, that's cool. Come back every now and again, say what's up, see what's up, especially at the end of every match, because we're going to be having the board up, the good, the bad, and the ugly categories, and after every match, I'm going to be putting a tally in one of the categories. So after every match, see where, come to the channel, man, see what BC and the unit thought about the match and where it's going to go on the board. So, a little bit of fun tonight for sure, or a lot of fun, man. We're going to celebrate summer the right way. So, that's it, man. Time for talk is done. Let's get through this review, man. We'll start off right at the top. The go-home show for SummerSlam is all about the Clash at the Castle premium event, which is a month later. I'll say that again. The go-home show for SummerSlam started out last night. The whole first half an hour having to do with Clash at the Castle, not SummerSlam. Nothing to do with SummerSlam. Allow me to explain. And by the way, yeah, BC got the jobber entrance. There was no music this morning. Sasha's not even here. She's coming in at about 4 o'clock, I believe, to prep up for SummerSlam. And she'll be with me throughout the whole SummerSlam event tonight for the live stream. So I get the jobber entrance. I didn't even have time to make my own coffee. I had to get a Dunkin' from around the block, which is delicious, thankfully. So allow me to explain this DonnyBrook match between Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. Again, nothing to do with SummerSlam We are already trying to sell Clash at the Castle. We get a DonnyBrook match between Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. Now wait till you hear how this one ended up. This was a very physical match that took up the entire first half of an hour. All right, the half hour of the show, the first half hour, all dedicated to this match, literally filling up all of Q1 and the Q2 segments. So I'm pretty cool with that, man. I wish it had more to do with SummerSlam. But hey, if you want to dedicate time to a match, well, we're always going to be up for that as long as you do it correctly and it's something we give a fuck about. I don't know if any of us needed to see Sheamus and Drew McIntyre for the 612th time, but again, it was very physical, man. There was wine barrels being used, shillelaghs, bar stools, obviously, the steel chairs, then the tables, your usual suspects. Everything was used, man. We saw nearly everything but the kitchen sink. And I'm surprised that wasn't used. This match was half a bar fight and half a bar fight. That's right. Think about that. Half bar fight, the other half was a bar fight. That's all this was. So PC was down with it. The finish saw Mac hit a badass Claymore while Sheamus was on his knees trying to get to his feet. So, they just went through a war. Sheamus is finally got to his knees, and that was a struggle enough. And then here comes a flying Claymore. A Claymore party! And he hit Sheamus square, man. I really thought the finish was beautifully done. It was it was that epic culminating moment. A lot of times in WWE especially, I'm not trying to dog them out, but especially in WWE, you have something going, something's working, something's clicking, there's magic between two dudes, sometimes tag team match, 4 dudes, and the finish just ruins it, AEW does that often, recently, they've been doing it more often than they had been, so AEW has to be careful with that too, but we've seen it in WWE for so long, man. Something really good will just be tarnished by the finish. I thought this was just, it was poetry in the ring. Sheamus barely getting to his knees. Mac could barely get to his feet, but when he did, he delivered that flying Claymore. I really thought it was beautifully done, this finish. Atlanta seemed to enjoy it, so the crowd literally hot Atlanta for that match. So I see no real big critique there. My one complaint... My one complaint would be the timing. Yeah, I paused because I almost didn't want it. Just leave it, BC. Leave it at the positive, BC. It's SummerSlam. Let's just leave it at a positive, man. I can't do that. My one big complaint is timing. This match was clearly supposed to be put on at SummerSlam, right? I mean, that's pretty obvious. The match length would tell you that, giving them time. So that would be something you'd be more tendency-wise to see that at a pay-per-view. The match type, a DonnyBrook match, basically a bar fight, you'd think that'd be put on at the pay-per-view. The stakes, right? The winner getting a title shot at the next premium event, Clash at the Castle. You would think that this is tailor-made for SummerSlam. And I think it originally was, and then this is what happens as they get closer to it, because there is no finalized card, because they don't care to give us a finalized card weeks in advance to get excited about. So as it gets closer, Vince just starts taking retired my ass, guys. Vince is running this SummerSlam, I assure you. Yeah, I mean, Triple H will have his hand in the cookie jar, and he'll be hopefully making good changes, fun. But this is still Vince's bitch. So... this is what he does. He takes out matches like Viking Raiders, New Day. We'll get to that in a couple of minutes. But it's obvious that he took this to try to get a quick ratings pop for SmackDown leading into SummerSlam. So that's the problem. The problem is, it's WWE doing WWE things. Going for the ratings pop, so we were left with the entire first half an hour of the go-home show to SummerSlam fighting over who gets a title shot at Clash at the Castle. Can I say that again, please? Yes, BC, you may. Thank you. Sasha's not here to tell me no. The entire first half of an hour of the SummerSlam Go-Home show was dedicated to the main event, a Clash at the Castle. That does not get anyone excited for SummerSlam. It just doesn't. And you know how I know that? Because it literally cannot get you excited for SummerSlam. It's all about Clash at the Castle for that. Which, by the way, we already knew for months was going to be Drew and Roman. But we'll play along that he had to earn it in this way right before SummerSlam. I just don't like the timing of this at all. I'm definitely down with the whole half an hour being dedicated to something of relevance. But I think the relevance should be the most relevant event that's coming up, which is SummerSlam tonight. They didn't even give a fuck. It was all for Clash at the Castle. It was very, very odd, man. That would be my one big critique from there, man. Remind me again what premium event is tonight. Because last I checked, it was not Clash at the Castle, man. It's what I always say. This company is ass backwards, bro. But post-match, Kayla Braxton, the ever-so-beautiful Kayla Braxton, is interviewing McIntyre. Theory hits the ring and delivers a Master Blaster Wabaka over Drew's dome piece with the briefcase. And when I say he got all of it, man, he got all of it. He was like my Yankee, if you're any other Yankee fans out there, our Yankee superstar Aaron Judge, if he was to connect on a 100-mile-an-hour fastball from Justin Verlander and sent that shit into the stratosphere. The way that Theory Wabaka Drew McIntyre was the way Judge would hit a 100-mile-an-hour Verlander fastball into the orbit. I mean, he laid into that son of a bitch. The only thing harder than Theory hitting McIntyre with that briefcase was Brock hitting Theory later in the night. We'll get to that. So, I thought that was a little nice touch afterwards. Again, they really want you to... They really want to remind you that Theory is the briefcase holder, you know? And I don't think it's being done correctly most of the time, but... It's not my company, so they really want you to know. And most of the time, he's just looking like a fucking idiot, like at the end of the night, again, which we'll get to. But that was the whole first half an hour, guys. I mean, they really are already looking past SummerSlam and trying to generate the interest for Clash at the Castle. Which, ticket-wise, they're already well over 60,000 in buys, so they're not hurting ticket-wise. They're going to wind up over 65,000, I believe. For Clash at the Castle. So they're not hurting that way. I don't believe they're obstructed with anything either, by the way. So I think... I mean, why not just sell the shit out of SummerSlam right now? Worry about Clash the next night. Or Monday night. But they decided to go this way. Speaking of obstructed, I believe NXT's next big premium event is going head-to-head with AEW's All Out. Right? Or AEW's next big event is the same night. So now people are going, I hope WWE goes earlier in the day. But if WWE does that, first of all, absolutely, you shouldn't go head-to-head right now. I mean, that's just splitting your audience. But, guys, if WWE concedes and just goes earlier in the day, aren't you admitting that AEW is the main event and you're the appetizer? Aren't you admitting that you're the preliminaries and they're the main event? So I know everyone's going, well, WWE shouldn't have done that. They got to go. NXT has to go earlier in the night. But, I mean, aren't you at that point admitting that we're the little dogs? We gotta clear the path for the big boys that are going to go on in the main slot, the prime time. It's a sticky situation, you know. I really don't think that they make their plans around AEW. So I know a lot of people are bashing NXT, Shawn Michaels, maybe even Triple H, Vinnie Mac, Brucey. Whoever you want to blame, I don't think they do business. I mean, the Money at the Bank went up against UFC. They didn't blink. They didn't give a fuck. I think they're just doing business for them. And then tonight, I believe, is going against UFC. I will check that, but I believe UFC is tonight. So, I mean, they're showing you they're not going to go about business going forward worrying about competition. I don't think they went out to do it purposely. I think they're picking dates, and that's where it's going to fall. I kind of admire that, and then you just let the audience flow where it's going to be. I understand splitting the audience, guys. We thought the same thing when WCW went over to Monday nights. And Vince McMahon especially, he's given a lot of interviews where he goes, at first I thought they were absolutely insane. Why would you split your audience? You're going to destroy the business. What ended up happening is it ignited the business. It got more people talking, more people interested, more people flipping back and forth. Nobody knew what to do. There was an excitement. It was intrigue. So it was the opposite of splitting the audience, because people are still going to go back and find a way to watch the product and buy all the shirts from all the companies. And it was a fun time, those Monday Night Wars. So obviously it's a different time. This is nothing near the Monday Night Wars, but I kind of admire the fact that they're just doing business themselves. It's a real sticky situation if they go on earlier in the day, because you are admitting at that point that we are the appetizer and the main course is coming later in AEW. They got to be very careful how they handle that. But I believe that NXT's next big event is going head-to-head with AEW as of now. Again, I will recheck those facts and get back to you guys. Now for the Q3 segment, we ran down the unfilled SummerSlam card. That's right, unfilled. Baron Corbin was ringside heckling Pat McAfee as Pat and Michael Cole ran down the card. Just heckling him, throwing popcorn at him, fucking yelling at Pat. He sucks. Get out of here. You're a bum. So Pat Mac finally has enough. Stands up. He gets popcorn thrown in his face. Baron jumps the barricade. Officials are trying to back Pat off. Pat looks at the officials like, I ain't going to touch him. I'm going to be good. And ultimately, Corbin would kick Pat Mac in his ballsack and made it just a little bit harder to have kids in the future if you're Pat McAfee. Square in the nutsack. Just a little bit harder to have those kids now, man. Pat Mac was selling it pretty good. I don't need to see Baron Corbin in a match at SummerSlam. I'm not going to lie to you, but it's always a welcoming sight to see Pat McAfee. And if he wants to do a WrestleMania, a SummerSlam, if he wants to do an In Your House, if he wants to do a fucking live event, I will always welcome a Pat McAfee match. The dude's actually really good. He dedicates the time that it takes to put on a good match in rehearsal and just planning and prep. Pat McAfee respects this industry, this business, that company so much that he puts so much time in it when he doesn't have to. I don't know if you guys know his financial status. He's got lucrative, multi-million-dollar deals elsewhere. He does not need WWE. And when I say that, I mean literally does not need it. So to do commentary every Friday night, WWE should be fucking thanking their lucky stars. And on top of that, he's willing to wrestle. So awesome. So that was the whole Q3 segment, running down the unfilled SummerSlam card. And then Pat McAfee getting the crown jewels taken out of him, basically. Speaking of the card, before I move on to the end of hour number 1, Q4, I don't believe that we all thought, or most of us thought, that Gunther would be getting a SummerSlam match. It was criminal that he hasn't had a match announced yet. But we thought last minute they're going to have Gunther and Shinsuke announced. To my knowledge, I did not hear anything about that. Now, yes, I do a lot of notes. I have to take phone calls and attend to other things during commercial breaks. So sometimes I'm like 30 seconds late when they come back from commercial. But I did not hear that Shinsuke and Gunther is official for SummerSlam. So I'm going to say this again because there is still some hours before SummerSlam. I'm really hoping that they pull their heads out of their asses and they give their Intercontinental Champion and that IC title the proper care and respect that it deserves. A SummerSlam match. Make the fucking thing prestigious. It's never going to be looked on as prestigious if you're not going to act like it's prestigious. I mean, you guys give me the staggering statistic that it has not been defended on a pay-per-view premium event since WrestleMania 37. That is a damn shame, damn near criminal. I'll go ahead and say tragic. So as far as the card goes, as of BC's knowledge, as of right now, I have not heard that the IC title is even being defended. And at this point, we shouldn't even be shocked. I'll do more research, though, and hopefully by tonight that changes. Q4, end of hour number 1, is Shotzi. Still want to call her Shotzi Blackheart. Shotzi ends hour number 1 with a W over Aliyah after hitting her with the Never Wake Up DDT, a pretty badass finisher, by the way. And a couple of things I do want to note here. Easily, this was Aliyah's best main roster match. That's a welcoming sight. There was a while where I just did not see an improvement by Aliyah. And I don't know how heavily rehearsed this match was to get her to have that performance. I don't know. But I'm going to have to praise that because that is her best performance. That is the most confidence I've ever seen her with on the main roster. There was very little hesitation. She just went for it. And that's when you're going to look better. You're going to screw up more, and it's going to look a lot worse, and you could even get injured when you hesitate too much. A lot of wrestlers don't realize that. So they hesitate because they don't want to fuck up. They hesitate because they don't want to get hurt. And a lot of times I see hesitation will be the biggest enemy of a pro wrestler. You got to have confidence, man. Commit. You got to believe in yourself. These are all traits that if you don't have or you're not willing to meet in the middle with that inner fucking dialogue with yourself, then you should not be a pro wrestler because it's just not going to work out. So that was easily Aliyah's best main roster match. That was really good to see. And as far as Shotzi goes, I'm so proud of her, man. They took this gimmick that could have been something, man. We're driving out in the little mini tank. I mean, this could have really not just sold so much merchandise, put her on the map. But even the adults were like laughing in a good way. Not like a 24/7 catering crusader train. That doesn't make anybody laugh in a good way. Shotzi was just like a breath of fresh air. It was a fun thing, you know, when we got behind her. My point is they took that gimmick from her and it was not justified. And then they didn't have anything for her. And it was almost like professionally she just hit this little bout of depression, you know. Even like personally, she was taking off her social medias, and she was just, you could tell she didn't know where her place was because the company didn't know her place. And we just heard Alexa Bliss cut that interview. I talked about it in yesterday's Amplified Live. Alexa Bliss said, right now, I don't know what my character is because they don't. She said, right now, I'm just literally Lexi, like my real self with a doll. And she said these words. She said, I don't like it right now. I don't like just being myself with no character direction. Myself in reality, I'm fine with that, Lexi. I don't like being Lexi with a doll as a character, but they don't know what to do with me. That's what she said in this interview. So that's just another example. We can say that about everybody most likely, but when the wrestlers themselves come out and say they're uncomfortable with where they are in the company, when they are hitting a professional depression, that's going to leak into personally, and that's not cool, man. And I started to see Shotzi go in a little downward spiral. Last night, it was real good to see her pick up that W, even though it was against Aliyah. Doesn't matter. She looked good in there. She capitalized. Beautiful girl, too. Shotzi is so, you know, we just think she was a comedy act in NXT when she got to the main roster. Beautiful girl. What does that have to do with her wrestling? Absolutely jack shit nothing. Just saying she's a beautiful girl because I can do that. But she really is. You know, she should have the utmost confidence. Somebody like Shotzi should never have to feel devalued in a company like that. And the fact that she even was, well, that's criminal. So anyway, it was so good to see Shotzi just have some type of fucking momentum there, man. And the right person won. That was Shotzi's to win. No doubt. Shotzi should not be losing that fucking match, man. No way imaginable. Now, hour number 2, Shotzi would get a little bit of a wake-up call. At least she had that moment. Let me get a swig. We'll talk about hour number 2. Shotzi was not done yet. She probably wishes now that she was. But Ronda starts hour number 2 pissed off. Shotzi is still in the ring. She has a mic and she wants to vent. But Ronda just drops her where she stands. Ronda was not having it. Now you say, okay, she won a match, she looked good, and then she just gets dropped by Ronda. Guys, I think it's no harm, no foul. Sometimes that does piss me off because it does hurt the individual that just won. But in this case, Shotzi had the time. Shotzi was not going to leave because Ronda said, give me the mic and leave. Shotzi's like, fuck that. And Shotzi got tooled down. I don't have a problem with this at all. I'm taking the positives of what happened to Shotzi, clearly outshadows the negatives. So now Ronda's sitting there. She's pissed off. A fan yells out to Ronda, you suck. Ronda shouts back to the fan, no, you suck. And your mother failed you. I'm like, damn, what? Then we go to commercial. We go to commercial, and I'm thinking, that's the Ronda we always should have had. Ronda Rousey is best when she can just be herself. And she is best when she can tell people to fuck off. Since she was a little Rousey, she's always had that little attitude, that little chip on her shoulder. To take that chip off of that, to make her attitude smiley Ronda when that's just not who she is, you're actually crippling what she could do for that company and herself and for others that she's in the ring with. You're handicapping her because you're not letting her flourish. Some of the best characters and best wrestlers that we've seen over the years are themselves with the volume turned up. 6, 7, some of them, the best, can turn it up to 9 and even 10. But when you don't even let them be themselves, they don't even have a chance, an opportunity to turn the volume up. Because they're just being something that they're not. It's a phony, it's a fake, it's a fraud, and we can see through that usually. Ronda Rousey, how do you fuck that up? She's a real-life badass. You can't mess that up. It's sitting in your lap, and for the time that Ronda's been there, for a couple years now, they've screwed it up. So I love the fact that she came out there and she was just talking shit to the fans. I'm not worried about being a face tonight. I'm not worried about smiling. When we come back from break, following that commercial, we get a tag team match. It's the old-fashioned, can they coexist storyline. You guys know what I'm talking about. They put the two participants that are going to take on each other at the pay-per-view, and right before this show, the pay-per-view, they put them in a tag team to see if it'll work out. This is Ronda Rousey and Liv Morgan versus Nattie Neidhart and Sonya Deville. Now, they did coexist, but only because Ronda somehow kept her cool, because Morgan did not want to tag in Ronda. Even Michael Cole was getting pissed off. Michael Cole was yelling at Morgan, just make the damn tag! Just make the damn tag and preserve yourself for tomorrow. Michael Cole's getting heated. It was kind of funny. Eventually Ronda would, eventually a tag was, I think Ronda actually had to tag herself in. Morgan didn't tag her in. And eventually Ronda would tap out Sonya Deville via the ankle lock. So I guess they coexisted. And then afterwards Ronda, see, that's what I don't like. She came out with all this piss and vinegar. She had that badass attitude, flipping the fans off, telling them to fuck off, telling them they failed their mother. And then at the end, she's holding the hand up of Liv Morgan, who was absolutely being the utmost disrespectful to Ronda during the match. That doesn't make sense, and those are the little details that are not so little to BC. Moving on, Usos and the Street Profits face-to-face middle of the ring. SummerSlam referee Jeff Jarrett joins them to discuss what he expects during their SummerSlam match. The teams end up going brawl status, and during the melee, Jey Uso super kicks Jeff Jarrett upside his dome piece. So that adds another layer, supposedly, for tomorrow. Will Jeff Jarrett be pissed at the Usos? What will Jarrett do? If that excites you guys, great. To me, it's another Usos Profits match. I don't need to see that at SummerSlam. The shining light here is that at their Money in the Bank match, that was match of the night, from what I recall. I mean, the match was absolutely just so good. So we're just hoping performance-wise, because the booking's been shit, but performance-wise, maybe every other match will be the 2s, and that match will be the 1. Possibly. Speaking of tag teams, the New Day took on the Viking Raiders. This is another match that was destined for SummerSlam, but winds up on the Blue Brand show. Ivar and Xavier Woods were the stars of this match. Ivar is just a big brute who showed up with a bad attitude and just wanted to destroy humans last night. So I love that. Ivar was one of the stars, and Xavier was feeling it last night and just putting on a professional wrestling classic and a clinic. So those were the stars last night. The Vikings would ultimately collect the W and post-match seemingly break the leg of Woods or severely damage it. And Woods sold the shit out of it, screaming as if he was just ran over by a monster truck. Very good selling by Woods. Now, I love the Raiders winning and causing destruction. I'm down with that. What I don't love is the fact that we're calling them the new vicious Viking Raiders. That's right, that's their new tagline, guys. The new vicious Viking Raiders. How about I don't call them that? Because that's probably what's going to happen. I'm not calling them that. It's not happening. Guys, did you see the new vicious Viking Raiders? Now, the show finishes with Paul Heyman middle of the ring selling the shit out of SummerSlam like only Paul Heyman can do. Brock Lesnar hits the ring. He goes toward Heyman like he's going to F5 him. Theory attacks from behind but is quickly taken to Suplex City, bitch, and beaten down with his own briefcase. And when I say beaten down, man, Brock was laying into this son of a bitch. And then as Theory tries to run away, he gets claymored out of nowhere. And that's how we end the show. Theory is down and out. Brock's in the ring looking down at Theory and Mac. Mac's in the aisleway looking at both of them. All right, I don't mind this totally, all right? I'm not going to shit on this because it does leave a lot of questions that need to be answered, right? Brock's in the middle of the ring, clearly the Beast Alpha. Is he going to win the title tonight? Okay, so that's one question mark. Theory's down and out, but he's been teasing so much lately. Is he going to cash in tonight? Okay, question mark. Drew Mac is now in the equation, right? He's going to be taking on somebody. Either it's a Brock, it's a Theory, or it's a Roman. But now Drew's in the equation. So you got all these question marks as we leave the go-home show of SmackDown to lead into tonight's SummerSlam. So I'm not totally shitting on that ending. At least it has question marks. How much, how high is your care level? That's in the eye of the beholder. My name's BC Amplified, your host. This has been SmackDown 7/29/22, the go-home show to SummerSlam, which is tonight. I'll be with you guys live for the entire 3 to 4 hours, maybe 5 hours. Who knows with Vinnie Mac? He's not retired right now. He's running this show, trust me. And we're going to see how long this thing goes, but it wouldn't matter. BC's going to be live. And we're going to do the good, the bad, and the ugly review. And together see if this was a good or bad pay-per-view. Booking-wise, it's been the shits. Usually the performers work double time, double as hard, and they make the shows good. We'll see if that happens again tonight. Till next time, guys, which is tonight. Hopefully you can join me, even if you stop in for a minute to say what's up. Smash that up. Truly appreciate it. But I'll see you guys tonight. We'll talk about it, man. SummerSlam, the second biggest event of the calendar year. Let's rock that shit. Just like I had a jobber entrance, I got a jobber exit. There's no Sasha. I got no theme music. It's just BC saying top guy, and I'm fucking out. Check you later. Think B. Fucking live amplified. Check you.